What's up, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Trainer podcast, the place where we get real about fitness, mental health, personal growth, and everything in between. I'm your host, Gina Marie, and today we're diving into something that might just be the most important conversation we've had yet. We're talking about validation detox, how to stop looking for approval from others and start trusting yourself. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to measure our worth based on external opinions. Whether it's the number of likes we get on social media, the comments we receive, or the opinions of those around us, validation seems to be everywhere. But what happens when we start to let go of that? What happens when we reclaim our own power, trust our own instincts, and stop living for the approval of others? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. So grab a seat, take a deep breath, and get ready for a conversation that will inspire you to trust yourself again and even step into your true power. Let's get into it. Many of us spend so much of our time seeking validation from others, whether it's from social media, friends, or even strangers, that we forget the most important source of approval is from ourselves. The truth is, when you rely on others to validate your worth, you give them power over how you see yourself. Reclaiming your power starts with realizing that you already are enough, just as you are. So let's explore how we can take that first step towards our inner validation through shifting our mindset. One of the first ways to reclaim your power is by realizing that your self-worth isn't defined by others' opinions. Your value comes from within. So often we seek validation from others as a way to confirm our value. But the truth is, no one can define your worth but you. Start building your self-worth from within by setting personal standards and values that are non-negotiable. Truly define your vision and your mission for your life, who you are, what your core belief system's going to be, and make it non-negotiable. Remember that self-talk is your first line of defense. The way you speak to yourself can either empower or diminish you. When you stop looking outside for affirmation and begin speaking to yourself with kindness, honesty, and confidence, you reclaim your power. Practice positive affirmations and be conscious of the inner dialogue that plays in your head. One of these things that you can do that's super simple is write your power statements that you really want to define your life by and put them somewhere that you're going to see every single day. One easy way is just to stick it by your mirror in your bathroom. And while you're brushing your teeth, you can be reading them. And while you're getting ready for the day, you can read them out loud. It's important because owning your decisions is power. And it's what's going to make you powerful. When you make choices based on your own intuition and desires, instead of seeking approval from others, you reclaim control over your own life. Trusting your decisions, even when others disagree, which is when things get hard, is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect and self-love. I know this personally because when you're in leadership roles or you're responsible for other people, people always have an opinion. Because if they're not in that role or they haven't experienced that role, it's always easy to say, oh, you should do it this way, or oh, you should do it that way, or oh, why do you do X, Y, Z? Until you're in that role and you truly step foot into somebody's life and what it's like to live it, people are so quick to have opinions, but it doesn't make them right. So realize that even when people meet you with resistance, it's okay to stand confidently in your belief system, keep your head held high, and keep it moving. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded by the curated lives of others on social media. It's easy to fall in the trap of measuring your worth against theirs. But comparison, not only does it steal your joy, it also clouds your confidence and makes you forget how far you've come. The truth is, no one else's journey is meant to be your blueprint. So let's talk about how to shift from comparison to celebrating your own unique path so you stop falling victim to what is the comparison game on social media. To build true confidence, we need to stop comparing ourselves to others and start recognizing our own growth and progress. Seems simple, but why is it so complicated? Comparison truly does steal your joy, and it can steal your progress. In today's world of social media, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing your journey to somebody else's highlight reel. Remember, behind every carefully curated post is a story you don't see. Their path is unique, just like yours. What's important is that we stay focused on our own growth. That will allow us and enable us to achieve things that truly matter to us, that relate to our core vision and mission. And that way we don't have to feel like we're out of character or we don't belong, because we are on our own path. One thing that's really important, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, and I even have a whole section about this in my book, The Badass Blueprint, is about celebrating your own small wins. Instead of comparing yourself to someone else's achievements, take the time to celebrate your own progress, no matter how small. Each step forward, whether it's in fitness or business or life, deserves recognition. When you start to shift your focus to your own victories, you begin to build true confidence in yourself. And I feel like I'm a prime example of this because I honestly think it's hilarious how many people DM me and tell me, I wish I was as confident as you. Y'all, I literally hysterically laugh because even though I have been through what I've been through, done what I've done, got to the point I'm at, I am still shaken and constantly question if I'm where I'm supposed to be. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Why do I even deserve this life? It's really hard, especially living in a place like Tampa, where no matter how much money you're making, you still feel poor. And that you're inundated with this aesthetic of trying to be more beautiful, thinner, like prettier than the next person because everybody is obsessed with fitness here. Everybody wears it like a badge of honor. Oh, I did 2 workouts today. Well, I did 2 workouts and walked on Bayshore. It's just, to me, as a personal trainer and somebody that works in healthcare, I am just alarmed by the fact that people literally almost compete with each other about who's doing more or whose workouts more intense. And because of that, people like bebop around town doing all of these workouts, sometimes and most times doing 2 workouts a day. And then you look at them and they look exactly the same as they've looked for months because they're not actually following a program, and nobody here believes in rest. And so as somebody that is on their own personal health journey, going through having a TBI and noticing how slow my progress has been because of it, I have fallen victim to comparing myself to other people in the wellness space here, thinking I don't belong because I'm heavier than them, or I'm not as pretty as them, or I choose not to alter my face with any type of like invasive procedures because I just feel like I want to embrace who I am every step of the way. To me, there's no right or wrong way to live. There are safe ways to live, but I feel like too often, because something becomes almost like a standard, we can fall into comparison game, and as a result, our confidence can be shaken if we allow it. Comparison really will breed insecurity, while confidence is what's going to fuel you to be more authentic. When you stop measuring your worth against others, you create space to embrace your true self. Confidence comes from within, and it thrives when you stop pretending to be someone you're not. The more you honor who you are, the more you inspire others to do the same, and you don't realize it now, but you truly will change the game. There's something incredibly freeing about embracing your authentic self, but it takes courage. Many of us are afraid to fully show up as who we are because of the fear of judgment or rejection. The reality is that living authentically is one of the most empowering things you can do, both for yourself and others. But I'll be honest, sometimes it's really lonely. One thing that I firmly believe that 2025 is about is for us to stop hiding and start living in alignment with who we really are. Whether that means we are surrounded by many, or maybe it's just you. Because when you embrace your true self and you start acknowledging the fear of judgment, you move through it instead of letting it dictate how you show up. Authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to realness. When you show up as your true self, the one that's unfiltered and unapologetic, you create space for others to do the same. Authenticity is not about being perfect, but it is about being genuine, and it's incredibly empowering to embrace that. Fear of judgment is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. It's normal to fear judgment, especially when you're stepping into your true self. But when you begin to shift your mindset, you realize the most important part of this journey is that judgment ends up being a reflection of other people's insecurities, not a reflection of your own truth. And your life truly will change when you figure that out. I highly encourage you, and I know it's easier said than done, to embrace your unique qualities with pride and just let that authenticity shine. Stop apologizing for who you are, and those who genuinely love and support you will continue with you along your new path. When we live authentically, it's not a destination. It truly should feel like a lifelong journey. Being true to yourself is not something that happens overnight. It's a practice. There will be moments of doubt, but with each step you take towards authenticity, you strengthen your resilience. It truly becomes your superpower. Trust the process and know that every time you choose authenticity, you make a powerful statement to the world. Now, we know there will be critics. Receiving negative feedback is something that we all face at some point in our lives. Hell, I just made a whole episode about it. Whether it's in fitness, business, or personal relationships, it can hurt. And if we're not careful, we can let it knock our confidence. It can truly deter our paths. But the most successful people understand that criticism is just part of the growth process. Instead of viewing feedback as a roadblock, it truly can be a powerful resource and tool to help us evolve. So let's dive into how we can shift our perspective on negative feedback. The key to using criticism to your advantage is learning how to separate it from your self-worth and seeing it as an opportunity for growth. One easy step, and I say easy, but I mean the first step, is to separate your identity from criticism. Negative feedback doesn't mean you're a failure. It simply means there's room for improvement. When you learn to detach your sense of self from criticism, you can view it as constructive rather than personal. This shift allows you to approach feedback with curiosity instead of defensiveness. Step 2, use feedback as a stepping stone, not a roadblock. Instead of allowing negative feedback to discourage you, use it as an opportunity to grow. Each piece of feedback is a clue to help you improve. Whether in fitness or in business, the key is to listen, reflect, and take actionable steps to elevate your performance. Step 3, remember, the most successful people, they embrace criticism. Whether it's in fitness or business, the most accomplished people welcome feedback because they see it as essential to their evolution. If you're serious about growth, learning how to take criticism and turn it into something positive will set you apart. But here's the key to all of this. You don't have to accept criticism and negative feedback from everybody. Everybody always thinks they know best, but until they've walked a mile in your shoes, make sure that you utilize the time to evaluate the feedback you're getting. Not everybody deserves a seat at the table, and not everybody deserves to share their opinion. So many of us second guess ourselves, sadly, looking for external advice or approval when making decisions. But deep down, we all have an inner compass, a gut feeling that guides us. The more we listen to that inner voice, the more confident we become in the choices we make. Trusting your instincts isn't about ignoring logic. It's about honoring the wisdom that's already inside you. So let's explore why listening to your gut intuition can be the most empowering thing that you do. The first step to trusting your instincts is recognizing that your intuition is a superpower, and we've been underestimating it. Your intuition is a superpower because that inner voice is what guides us. However, oftentimes we ignore it in favor of the opinions of others because it's louder. Trusting your gut is not about being reckless. It's about tuning into your inner wisdom that has been built over time through experience and knowledge. Your intuition knows the path that's right for you. When we listen to our gut, it strengthens our confidence. The more we listen to our instincts, the more confident we become in our decisions. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Over time, trusting yourself becomes second nature and you begin to rely less on external validation. Remember, your gut won't steer you wrong. Your intuition is based on a combination of your experiences, emotions, and values. It's not random. It's a powerful tool. But when properly utilized, it's what's going to guide your choices that align with your truest self. When you learn to honor that gut feeling, you'll find the right decisions come more naturally, easily, and you'll be less shaken by other people's criticism of your lifestyle. And if we're being honest, that's how the Badass Blueprint was born. On New Year's Eve of 2024, I was sitting at home alone. I had worked all day. I was exhausted. And I'd had this idea for quite a long time for this book. And I don't know what it was about that moment, about that time, but it was like something just lit a fire in me. And I was fully ready to embrace my most true, authentic self, which came in the form of becoming an author. The Badass Blueprint and the episodes that we've shared leading into 2025 up to this point are truly because there were things along my journey that impeded my growth and why it took me so long to get to the point I'm in now. And creating the Badass Blueprint really was because there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of opinions, a lot of criticism, but there wasn't a literal blueprint as to how do we figure out who we really are? What's our vision, mission in life? What goal are we actually trying to achieve? And then how the hell do we figure it all out when the world around us is overly stimulating and loud? And so I created the Badass Blueprint, and I provided a real conversation in each category of the book, because oftentimes, myself included, in my 20s especially, I had so many bold ideas, but I never took consistent action on them. And that's what this book takes you through. It takes you through a roller coaster of emotions, actions, thoughts. You may be stopped dead in your tracks, if we're being completely honest, because it is going to invoke in you a deeper sense of why, that purpose that maybe you've been quieting for a long time. And I think that's why this episode was so important today, because oftentimes we don't get to where we need to go because the validation of others is lacking. So we question if we're on the right path. I want you to remember something, and it's literally the quote on the back of my book. You already have everything you need to succeed: the courage, the discipline, and the fire. The only thing standing in your way is the story you keep telling yourself. It's time to rewrite it and step into your badass potential. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Unfiltered Trainer podcast. I really do hope that today's conversation lights a fire inside of you. It's a reminder that you don't need anyone's permission to be powerful, worthy, or enough. You were born with everything you need inside of you. Your worth isn't something to be earned, it's something to be owned. And starting today, you get to walk in that truth. If today's episode spoke to your soul, I'd be honored if you shared it with somebody else who needs this reminder. Don't forget that subscribing and leaving a 5-star review is literally everything to podcasters and to authors on Amazon, I have recently learned. So show up for those who show up for you, leave a 5-star review. And if you want to connect with the Impact Society, it's a free online community that I'm starting to build this year. Send me a DM and I will give you access. Because when we rise together, we rise higher. As you move forward this week, choose yourself. Trust your instincts and honor your journey, even when the world tells you otherwise. You are powerful beyond measure, and the world needs the unfiltered, unstoppable version of you. Until next time, stay bold, stay true, and always keep making that impact. I'll see you in the next episode.